Bills vs. Jaguars Wild Card Classic. Buffalo stuns Jacksonville in thrilling playoff finish. On Sunday, January 11th, 2026, the AFC Wild Card round delivered a postseason showdown that will be remembered as one of this era's great playoff battles. The Buffalo Bills visiting the Jacksonville Jaguars at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. Two contrasting storylines converged. Buffalo's veteran All-Pro quarterback striving to break through playoff heartbreak, and Jacksonville's red-hot offense trying to sustain an 8-game winning streak and secure home field playoff success. What unfolded was a gripping, back-and-forth contest culminating in a dramatic late-game comeback led by Bills quarterback Josh Allen, cementing a 27-23 victory and sending Buffalo into the divisional round. Build-up, a clash of seasons and legacies. The matchup carried weight from the moment the NFL schedule was released. The Jaguars finished the regular season 13-4, earning the number 3 seed in the AFC thanks to a dominant late-season run and strong performances from quarterback Trevor Lawrence, who completed one of the best statistical seasons of his career. Jacksonville's balanced offense and stout home defense made them one of the most feared teams entering Wild Card Weekend. The Bills, meanwhile, were 12-5, securing the number 6 seed. They arrived at Everbank knowing their road obstacles were significant. Buffalo had struggled historically on the road in the postseason, and Jacksonville had bested them in previous wild card meetings decades earlier. But Buffalo possessed an experienced roster and a playoff pedigree that could never be discounted, especially with Josh Allen under center. All week, talk centered on matchup advantages and physical tests. Buffalo's elite rushing offense versus a Jaguars front seven that had surrendered little late in the season, and Allen's mobility and arm strength against one of the league's more dynamic secondaries. With kickoff set for the early afternoon, both fan bases braced for what looked more like a heavyweight fight than a standard wild card tilt. First half, back and forth, momentum shifts early. The game opened with neither team willing to cede an inch. Buffalo got on the board first with a long field goal from Matt Prater, capitalizing on a Jaguars turnover deep in Jacksonville territory. The Bills' defense, aggressive from the outset, managed to force mistakes and keep the Jaguars' explosive offense from taking control early. A crucial interception of Trevor Lawrence by Buffalo's defense in the opening quarter set the tone and energized the visiting sideline. Jacksonville responded, however, driving into the red zone and punching in a touchdown late in the second quarter to take the lead. The Jaguars' sideline erupted as they threatened to seize control of the game with a score just before halftime, but Buffalo answered back, Allen scrambling for a rushing touchdown before the half, to knot the score and maintain momentum heading to the locker room. By halftime, the score reflected the tight-knit contest. Buffalo and Jacksonville were separated by just a field goal, each offense having traded shots but neither able to fully break free. The Bills' defense had pressured Lawrence effectively, while Allen's grit under duress kept drives alive. Third quarter. Defenses take over. Game tightens. The second half began in much the same fashion as the first, tentative, tense, and punctuated by defensive stops. Both teams traded field goals as neither offense could completely find the end zone. The Jaguars managed a mid-quarter field goal to narrow the gap, but Buffalo's response kept the contest within striking distance. By the end of the third quarter, the scoreboard read 13-10 in favor of Bills, perfectly reflecting the defensive struggle and the high stakes of every possession. Allen had been under considerable pressure throughout the game, absorbing hits and even heading briefly to the medical tent after a questionable contact. He was evaluated for concussion and cleared, but continued playing through a series of injuries, hand, knee, and a previously lingering foot issue, demonstrating both toughness and the physical cost of playoff football. Despite these challenges, he remained poised, resilient, and, most importantly in a close game like this, effective. Fourth quarter. Momentum swings and a finish for the ages. If the first half had been tense, the fourth quarter was electric. Jacksonville struck first in the final period, driving down the field and finding the end zone to take a 17-13 advantage, using a mix of run and pass to take control and silence the predominantly Bills supporting crowd. The Jaguars' play calling was bold, mixing screens and intermediate routes that seemed to keep Buffalo's defense honest. but Buffalo refused to fold. Midway through the quarter, Allen threaded a precise pass to tight end Dalton Kincaid for a 15-yard touchdown, regaining the lead for the Bills at 20-17. This drive showcased Allen's ability to rebound under pressure, mixing checkdowns with well-timed scrambles and blinding the Jaguars' coverage. Then came the moment that will be replayed in NFL highlights for years. With time winding down and the Bills still clinging to a narrow lead, Jacksonville mounted a late drive that threatened to put the game out of reach. But Buffalo's defense held firm, forcing a key fourth and short stop that swung momentum back to Allen and company. With under 9 minutes remaining and the stakes at their highest, Allen orchestrated a meticulous drive, mixing runs and passes, managing the clock and keeping the Jaguars off balance. The culmination came with a laser touchdown pass to seal the victory in the final moments, giving the Bills a 27-23 lead that they would protect until the final whistle. Final stats and standouts. The final score, Bills 27, Jaguars 23, reflected not just a hard-fought win but a testament to playoff mettle and execution in critical moments. Allen finished with significant yardage and multiple touchdown passes, while the Jaguars' Lawrence threw for a strong total but was ultimately undone by costly turnovers and a defense that made vital stops when it mattered most. Both offenses fought valiantly, but it was Buffalo's resilience and late-game poise that made the difference. Buccaneers earned a road playoff win that had eluded them in recent seasons and snapped Jacksonville's 8-game win streak. The victory also placed the Bills still standing, the night the Bills refused to break. The lights over Everbank Stadium burned white against the Florida night, cutting through the humid air like a promise and a threat all at once. Red, teal, blue, colors clashed in the stands as Jacksonville believed and Buffalo hoped. This wasn't just a game. This was survival. The Jaguars came in hot, 8 straight wins, a city buzzing, a young quarterback carrying the weight of expectation with a quiet smile. The Bills came in wounded, questioned, scarred by playoff ghosts and almost seasons. And at the center of it all stood Josh Allen, shoulders broad, jaw set, eyes burning with something that said not tonight. From the first snap, you could feel it. This wasn't going to be easy. Jacksonville struck with confidence. Their crowd roared, every first down shaking the concrete, every hit echoing through the stadium. Trevor Lawrence looked calm, almost peaceful, as he moved his offense down the field. The Jaguars believed this was their moment, their house, their night. But Buffalo didn't flinch. Allen ran like a man chased by doubt, threw like a man chasing redemption. When he lowered his shoulder for that first brutal scramble, it wasn't about yardage. It was about message. We're here. We're not afraid. You're going to feel us. And they did. Hit after hit. Sack after sack. Sweat, breath, pain. The game became a fistfight. The kind of football where nobody's clean, nobody's comfortable, and every snap steals something from you. When Allen took off and crashed into the end zone for that first rushing touchdown, he didn't celebrate. He just stood up, chest heaving, eyes locked downfield. Like he knew this was only the beginning. But Jacksonville answered. Of course they did. Lawrence dropped back and fired into the end zone with the calm of someone who has never known fear. Touchdown. Crowd explodes. Teal towels spinning. Momentum swinging. And just like that, the doubt crept in. You could see it in the faces of Bills fans. The memories. The heartbreaks. The what-ifs. But Allen, he didn't blink. Late in the half, with time bleeding away and pressure closing in, he ran again. Through bodies. Through arms. Through pain. Into the end zone. And this time he screamed. Not for the cameras. Not for the crowd. For himself. For every loss. For every headline. For every season that ended too early. At halftime, the scoreboard showed Buffalo ahead. But the feeling was heavier than numbers. This was a storm waiting to break. And it did. The third quarter was war. No rhythm. No mercy. Just collisions. Jacksonville clawed back. Field goal. Stop. Pressure. The stadium smelled like adrenaline and desperation. Every play felt like a turning point. Every hit felt personal. Then the fourth quarter arrived, and everything changed. Jacksonville struck first. Touchdown. Crowd erupts. The Bills' sideline went quiet. You could feel the air leave their lungs. The narrative was writing itself again. Here we go. But that's when Allen became something else. On the next drive, he stood tall in the pocket while it collapsed around him. He took the hit, delivered the throw. First down. Then another. Then another. He found Kincaid in the end zone like it was destiny. Touchdown. Led back. And he pounded his chest like a man refusing to drown. Jacksonville refused to die. Lawrence answered. Another touchdown. Tie game. The noise was unreal. The pressure was unbearable. Every player on that field knew. One mistake decides everything. And that's when Allen took over the game with his soul. He ran when he had to. He threw when he shouldn't. He stood in the fire and didn't move. Time slowed. The Bills bled clock. Jacksonville burned timeouts. The tension was suffocating. You could see the Jaguars' defense begging for air. You could see Allen's face, scraped, tired, determined. And then the kick. 40-something yards. Season on the line. Silence. The ball flew. The uprights waited. Good. Buffalo erupted. Allen dropped to a knee. Somewhere in the stands, grown men cried. But Jacksonville had one last breath. Lawrence threw. Completion. Hope. Spike. One more. The crowd held its breath. The ball went up into the night and came down empty. And just like that, it was over. Josh Allen stood there, helmet off, chest rising and falling, eyes wet but unbroken. Not celebrating. Not screaming. Just standing. Like a man who had finally beaten something inside himself. The Jaguars walked off in silence. A season gone. Dreams paused. The Bills walked off together. No swagger. No show. Just relief. This wasn't a win. This was a release. A team that had been doubted. A quarterback that had been questioned. A city that had been waiting. And on that night, under those lights, with pain in their legs and fire in their hearts, Buffalo refused to break. I wasn't losing this game. Josh Allen, first-person POV. The noise hits you first. Not the good kind. The kind that crawls into your skull and rattles around. Teal everywhere. Screaming. Booing. Hoping I fail. I can feel it even through the helmet. I look up at the lights and tell myself the same thing I always do. Breathe. Lock in. One play. Because I know how this story usually goes. Close game. Big moment. People waiting for me to mess up. Not tonight. First drive, I take off running and get hit hard. Real hard. The kind that makes your teeth buzz. I like it. It wakes me up. Reminds me I'm alive. Reminds me I'm not here to be careful. They think I'm reckless. I think I'm hungry. Every time I drop back, the pocket feels smaller. Every time I run, someone's trying to take my head off. Good. Let them try. I've been hit before. I've been doubted before. I've been buried before. I'm still here. When I punch that first touchdown in, I don't celebrate. I don't smile. I just nod. Because this isn't about points. It's about telling them I'm not going anywhere. Then they answer. Of course they do. Crowd explodes. Stadium shaking. And I can feel it, that little voice creeping in. What if this is another one? I shut it up. Late in the half, clock running, bodies everywhere, I take off again. No hesitation. I lower my shoulder and drive through the line like I'm trying to break something. Because I am. I'm trying to break the past. When I cross the goal line, I scream. Not for the fans. Not for TV. For me. For every off-season headline. For every almost. For every time I walked off a field knowing I gave everything, and it still wasn't enough. At halftime, my chest is burning. My legs are heavy. My hands are shaking a little. I don't care. I look around that locker room, and I know these guys are with me. And I tell myself, if I'm going down, I'm taking everything with me. Third quarter, it's ugly. No rhythm. Hits everywhere. I get clipped, get up. Get clipped again, get up. At one point my vision goes weird. Trainers look at me. I wave them off. Not happening. Not in this game. Then the fourth hits, and Jacksonville scores. And for a second, just a second, I feel it. That sinking feeling. That familiar weight. The kind that says, here it comes again. I shake my head.
No.
Not today. Not me. Not us. I get in the huddle and look at their faces. Tired. Nervous. Believing in me. And I know if I break, they break. So, I don't. I stand in the pocket while it collapses. I take the hit. I throw the ball anyway. First down. Then another. Then another. My ribs are screaming. My legs are jelly. I don't care. When I hit Kincaid in the end zone, I feel something snap inside me. Like a chain breaking. Like a door opening. I pound my chest because I need them to know I'm still here. I'm still fighting. Then they score again.
Tie game.
Stadium losing its mind. Pressure like a hand on my throat. And I smile. Because this is what I live for. This is what I'm built for. This is where I belong. Final drive. I run when I have to. I slide when I should. I bleed clock. I hear the Jaguars burning timeouts, and it feels like music. Every second hurts them. Every second helps us. When we line up for the kick, I don't watch. I stare at the ground. I whisper, please. Just once. Just give me this. The crowd goes quiet. The ball goes up. Good. I drop to a knee. I don't jump. I don't celebrate. I just breathe. Because I'm exhausted. Because I'm empty. Because I gave everything. But it's not over. They get the ball back. I stand on the sideline, helmet off, heart trying to escape my chest. I watch Trevor throw. Completion.
Spike.
One more. And I'm begging. Not God. Not fate. Just the universe. End it. The ball goes up. Time freezes. And then it falls. Incomplete. And I don't even realize I'm crying until I taste it. I hug the guys around me. I stare at the field. I laugh. I exhale. I survive. This wasn't a win. This was a fight. And for once, I won. We earned this. Inside the Bills' locker room after the win. The door shuts. And for a second, nobody says anything. Just heavy breathing. Shoulder pads dropping to the floor. Helmets rolling across concrete. The sound of tape being ripped off skin. The smell of sweat, grass, and blood. It's quiet, not because they're sad, but because they're empty. Completely empty. Josh Allen stands in the middle of the room, hands on his hips, chest rising and falling like he just ran a marathon. His jersey is dark with sweat. His arms are scratched. His face is red. He looks around at his guys. Some are sitting. Some are staring. Some are smiling but don't even know it yet. Then someone laughs. Just one short laugh. Nervous. Unbelieving. Then another. And suddenly the room explodes. Yelling.
Shouting.
Helmets slamming lockers. Guys jumping. Coaches clapping. Someone screams, "Let's go!" And it echoes like thunder. Music blasts.
Towels fly.
Grown men are hugging like kids. Stefon Diggs is pacing, shaking his head, laughing to himself. I told you. I told you, he keeps saying, like he's trying to convince the universe it actually happened. Dalton Kincaid sits at his locker, head in his hands, smiling so hard it hurts. A vet slaps his helmet and says, "Welcome to the playoffs, Rook." Kincaid looks up, eyes shining. He nods. He gets it now. On the other side, a lineman is holding an ice pack to his knee, teeth clenched, but smiling anyway. "Worth it," he mutters. Nobody argues. Josh finally sits. For the first time all night he sits, and you can see it hit him. The shaking in his hands. The deep breath. The eyes closing. Not from pain.
From release.
A trainer comes over, asks him how he's feeling. He shrugs. Alive. That's all he says. The trainer laughs. Tapes him anyway. Sean McDermott steps into the middle of the room. He waits. Doesn't yell. Doesn't clap. Just waits. The noise slowly fades. "Look at me," he says. Every head turns. He points around the room. Every hit, every block, every damn snap, you earned that. Nobody gave you anything. They doubted you. They questioned you. And you walked into their house and took it. Silence. Then he says it, low and steady. I'm proud of you. And something in the room shifts. Josh stands. He doesn't plan to. He just does. He looks around at his teammates, some bleeding, some bruised, some barely holding together, and his voice cracks. I'm not going to lie to you, he says. I was tired. I was hurting. And I thought about it for a second. I thought, damn, this might be it. The room goes still. But then I looked around, he continues, and I saw you guys. And I said, not like this. Not with you. Not again. He swallows. Thank you for trusting me. Nobody claps. They just nod. Because they trust him. Because they followed him into hell and came back. Someone yells, Bills on 3. Everyone shouts back. 1,
2,
3. Bills. The word echoes off the walls like a promise. Outside, reporters wait. Cameras flash. Headlines write themselves. Inside, none of that matters. What matters is the guy next to you. The guy who blocked. The guy who tackled. The guy who didn't quit. Josh looks around one more time before heading to the showers. He takes it in. The noise. The laughter. The pain. The life. And for the first time all season, he believes. Not hopes. Believes.